We're going to leave the concept of entertainment, American culture and entertainment, and move on to times where things happening in the world came into conflict with general American values. So, one of those main times that we're going to look at is going to be the Cold War. We're going to look very briefly of that. Your high school class will dig into that in much more detail. But we're going to look at a conflict between the United States idea of capitalism and democracy and how that conflicted with the Soviet Union's policy of communism and dictatorship. Because at this point in history, and we looked at this in seventh grade, this was a time when the world almost came to a third world war. So we need to understand what happened. So, first thing we want to do is learn how to explain the difference between capitalism and communism. So, for the first part, we're going to look at an introduction to communism. You live in capitalism, and I think you understand that one better. But this one, communism, is not as commonly known. We don't understand as much about it. We tend to have a negative thought about it, for a variety of reasons. But we need to understand exactly what it is. So, I want you to take a bit of time to read this little passage. This is not a long passage, and then watch the video for an explanation about this, because if it's worth looking at the fact that two gigantic countries almost came to blows over it, we need to understand what it was that's going on there. And communism definitely still exists. China is communist today. Vietnam is communist. There's a small handful of communist countries that are left. North Korea, and for all practical purposes, Russia is communist still as well. So it's not an overly common political system. Um, it's almost at the polar opposite end of capitalism, in terms of freedom for it. But I think we need to understand it. So do the reading and watch the video on that. And then we're going to go forward with this. This will move for an Ed puzzle on this. So this will help explain a little bit more about it. Now remember, if you need a little bit of extra help, if you need it reset for a better score, then by all means let me know, because this is higher level thinking to take a look at these economic systems. So if you have any trouble with it, don't be embarrassed. Just send me the title and say, hey, can you reset it for me? And I will be happy to do that. You can take it as often as you need to.